everyone, to our listeners. Welcome to the CultivAsian podcast. In this series, we will be discussing some ideas around the differences and similarities between collectivism and individualism. So, our guests right here, Tai and Abbie, let's give a little intro about yourselves first. Tai, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
My name is Tai. Right now I live in Sacramento, but I grew up in Shanghai, China. I was there for like 9 years. But now I go to UCLA. I'm a applied math major now, second year.
Yay! Thank you for being on our podcast.
Of course,
Um,
love to be here.
Fun things only. My name is Lilian. I am a third year undergrad at UCLA. I'm Taiwanese American and I just moved here 2 years ago. I'm also the oldest among my family, which we kind of mentioned about earlier. And then Abbie.
I'm Abbie. I'm a junior.
You wish you were younger.
I wish I was younger. Time goes by fast. My mom is from China, and my dad is from Taiwan. They met in America, and I have an older sister. I'm from Delaware, and I'm studying economics and psychology.
Double major.
Double major.
Impressive.
Yeah, double major.
What?
And yeah.
Okay, so a little brief introduction of ourselves to our audience. So, we will be talking quite a bit about identities, intersectionality, and all these like really broad stuff. So we kind of want to narrow it down to come to our definition first. So, to our guests, what, in your opinion, is individualism and collectivism? Like in your definition? It's kind of tough. Literally just went on with like the toughest question out of this podcast. We just finished our midterm and I'm like, no,
Pressure.
It's hard.
short answers only.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because I kind of think like a lot of us, we think individualism versus collectivism is like, oh, Eastern or Western.
Mhm.
But, maybe there's more to it, maybe there's
Yeah.
not. And each and one of us can also hold like different levels of individualism and collectivism. So yeah, I just want to see if you guys have any opinions on that. And then we can definitely come back to this too
Mhm.
after the whole podcast. Maybe we'll find our answers throughout this podcast.
I was interested in this topic the most out of all of them because there's just so many things about it. Individualism versus collectivism, finding the balance within the Asian community, within, being in America, being at UCLA. Um, and just like for me personally, I've struggled a lot with finding the balance between being an individual versus being like a collective because both are good in their own ways. And I feel like just my upbringing being Asian American has definitely made me hyper aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
so like with family, academics, social life, mental illness, mental awareness, basically, yeah.
I think you put it in a really great way, literally. I think I came up with this topic literally because of that too, because our target is our Asian American young adults, right? And as like in our 20s, which you are going to be next year, you're still not in the 20s club yet, but like we're figuring ourselves out. And especially coming from like, diverse backgrounds, like we're immigrants, like our parents are first generation, second generation, stuff like that. Like it is a balance, like you
Mhm.
said. And we definitely have our own unique experiences that made us realize that, oh, there's a difference between our values and the mainstream Western values that, that's our environment. So, yeah, so hopefully this podcast kind of like serves as a tool for anyone who is watching, helps you kind of just feel the comfort, like, it's the common struggle that we all struggle with. You're not alone. And also, maybe some of the topics that we're going to talk about can aid you to kind of be introspective too. Like, think about this in another way, or, hopefully hopefully this just helps. But yeah, Ty, do you want to talk any of that?
Yeah, give me a sec. It's definitely hard being someone that lost your identity. You don't know who you are, and it's hard finding it. But I feel like as part of a collective, you definitely have an opportunity there. But it's also about finding the balance of who you are inside. That's where the individualistic aspect of your life comes in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that literally like right now because we were talking about families earlier, right? In our private conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like families is like a collective
Yeah.
like unit,
It's a
but
pretty universal answer.
it is it is like yeah, families. But and in a lot of Asian households, like especially in Chinese cultures, right?
Yeah.
We value families and families' opinions a lot. And I know for me, because I'm the oldest sister among my family, I have a younger brother that's 5 years younger than me. And, growing up, it's always like you have to be this role model. And I know for my other Filipino friends, they're also the oldest sister, and
Mm-hmm.
they literally had to take care of their siblings growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in charge of their schools. Like their moms don't know anything about school education
Mm.
because they just immigrated here, right? They're first gen. Like I don't really know if it's first gen, but
If they immigrated, it's first gen.
yeah. So their parents just immigrated here.
So they're first gen.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
first gen.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know nothing about education. The older
Mm-hmm.
sister have to be the one that's kind of like, common struggle to like translating for your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tax. Yeah, exactly. Like we don't even know what the fuck FAFSA is.
No.
It's but like, yeah, how do we do that?
Yeah.
And I feel like just around families, I feel like it's a very big, big, big like thing. Because compared to our Western peers, they turn 18. They just like, oh, I'm going out, I'm doing my stuff, like leave the house. I have that freedom. They have the freedom.
Yeah.
For us, it's not that simple because it's like we have to consider what impact it will have on the collective.
Mhm.
Like if we just do whatever we want, are we going to be, embarrassing our family values, like, the image, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then being the eldest among your siblings, all that. And yeah, and one big part I feel like for me is like education. Like, I moved here 2 years ago. Like, since I was a kid, I was brainwashed, like, well, in a good way, like, oh, come to America to study because I have families here. So, I don't know. What did you guys have any familial expectations on you when you guys applied to colleges? How was that like in your experiences?
I do have one thing to say though about the family, what you're talking
Yeah,
about. I'd say it's American culture is the epitome of hyper individualism.
yeah.
And then you have Asian culture, which is so collective about the family, but they don't foster the individual. So it's hard to be a part of the collective when you're not even allowed
To be
to be an
yourself.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's so true.
And then also, at least for Chinese people, I'd say they're super collective. Maybe it's the government, half now. Maybe it's like, but I would say that, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. But for academics, definitely pressure, like growing up. It's kind of like, and I feel like everyone does this. You don't know why though.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the age of like, I remember I'd be like crying in elementary school because I got like an N or something because we didn't even have A, B, C, D grades then, and I'd be like crying. So I was like, what is my do? But like you don't even know why.
It's
You
just
know, you don't
so
even know why.
programmed
It's
in
just
us.
like you have to be perfect. And like I would do extra math work outside, like in elementary school, like the workbooks. And like I would be ahead. And it would be kind of like a flex when I could do long division in front of my like second grade class, like on the board. But like that is a result of like doing the workbooks and having, you know, your parents being like, "You're fucking, you're stupid."
Yeah, it's okay.
And so like being taught that at a young age, you have to be perfect in your grades, but you're also stupid. But also, I'm not gonna tell you why. It just makes you kind of accept everything, you know.
Internalize it.
Internalize it. You take everything as it is. No boundaries. You can't stand up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's a big one.
and so for me personally, I like knew my parents had that expectation, but I grinded like my butt off in high school so I could leave and
Leave
and
that
leave that and
environment.
then go. And then if I got into a good school and they could afford it, why would they say no?
So that's kind of your escape within the system you're in.
Exactly. I
It's
like
like
beat the system.
you beat this. You're like, if I can get away with this, like I'm gonna find my way around it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna grind my ass off. I'm still gonna be a good student.
but
But this is
yeah,
gonna be my escape.
yeah.
So this is why she's in UCLA. This is why you get into UCLA, okay?
Double major too.
Double major.
Mad.
Yeah.
Oh
What about
wait,
you? Yeah.
well you go first because
No.
I feel like I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, like double major, I'm doing economics and psych. Maybe I'll talk about it more later. But I came in as econ. My dad suggested it, and also it's mathy, so it was
Yeah.
acceptable. Psych, I snuck in there last year, but that's what I do want to do. but
Econ or psych?
psych.
Psych.
But I snuck it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Dropped
okay.
the bomb on them.
It's like, yeah, we'll talk about that later. I know we talk about like how your family is not supportive of like the psych major
Right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
got some stories too. But yeah, Tai, what about you? Like, how did you get into UCLA? How was that like in high school for you?
Well, all I knew about since high school, actually since elementary school, was study. It's about the
That's fair.
grades, right?
Yeah.
It's about the grades. I never
Mm-hmm.
got a B in my life till I got here.
Mhm.
And it's true because the goal was always college. It
Mm.
was never about community college too. Like my mom hated community college. It was a passion. It's a,
Transfer from community college, guys.
I
Like,
know, I love.
too. Like,
No, no, but I
stigma.
respect community college
It's a
now.
stigma,
It's a
yeah.
big stiff.
Stigma.
But I respect community college now. Still, it's hard to do
Yeah.
community college
Mm-hmm.
because you got so much freedom in community college.
Yeah, you gotta be really self-disciplined.
Especially
Hmm.
since you got in here, you must have like gotten really high GPA.
Yeah, 4.0, guys.
Oh, little flex, just a little flex.
Flex.
Uh-huh. But yeah, UCLA is my top choice. With Berkeley, but I feel like my parents definitely have a pressure for me to go to Berkeley.
Mm.
They want Berkeley.
Those fuckers rejected me. So yeah.
Fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Berkeley's kind of lame.
Yeah, it's probably better for your mental that you're there.
Because I heard a lot of bad shit from Berkeley. Well, that's from another podcast if you ever want to talk about Berkeley versus LA. But so, how was it like when like your parents always expected you to go to Berkeley? Did they just outwardly say it, or
My dad always said it. He was a
uh,
professor there.
oh, he was at Berkeley.
He was,
He
yeah,
was.
for like a couple
Wait, what do you
years.
teach?
He taught physics.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Oh my god! Imagine the pressure he has.
No.
Smart professor dad that teaches at
Physics.
Berkeley.
Physics at Berkeley.
But
That's
now he's at the
crazy.
point where he doesn't really care anymore. He's like, do whatever you want. You get fair.
That's good.
I
Kind
guess
of.
he's given me more freedom, but I did not have that until college. I feel like college is like freshman year is where
It's like a big transition for you.
it's really where I got to like do whatever I want.
Mhm.
I was a
Exactly.
really sheltered kid growing up.
Honestly,
So,
me too.
Yeah,
We're
they
all
didn't really make,
so
they did not let me go to parties or anything
no,
like
yeah.
that.
they don't let you what?
Go to parties.
Oh,
Parties,
go
or
to
even
parties? No.
I didn't even have that many friends in high school until like senior year when they
Mm-mm.
really let me fly my wings out.
Flap your wings like little birds.
Uh-huh. But also because like for me personally, I had like a tough transition because I moved around a lot when I was growing up. So
Mm,
it's really hard to actually have a consistent friend when you
Mhm.
move,
mm,
right?
it's
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Around the states or like around the
Around
globe?
the globe. Yeah,
Ooh.
grew up in China, and then all my friends there are still in China. So
Mm-hmm.
when I moved to the state, I didn't have anyone, and I came to the Bay Area first, and
Oh.
for like a couple years, and I did not have. I made friends there, but then I moved to Sacramento,
Mm.
which is like 2 hours away, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
really see them usually.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem,
Sacramento's not the bay.
yeah, I
It's
have to
Sacramento's
say it.
not the
part of
bay.
NorCal
I
though.
used to try to convince people or gaslight people that it
That
is the
is the
Bay.
bay.
Yeah, because I want to be known as I was from
Yeah.
the Bay, but yeah, no,
It's a
it's too
label.
Sacramento's
far.
not the
It's
It's
bay.
a
2 hours from the Bay.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
shiny label. Everybody's like, oh, I'm from the Bay. Oh, me too. I'm from the Bay.
Yeah.
It's like,
From where? And then you go with
Yeah.
oh, it's
specific.
like 6 hours drive away from the Bay.
It's like 6 hours from
Yeah, I live in LA. It's from the
Yeah,
Bay.
yeah, it's from the Bay, LA. Like,
hmm
yeah. So,
California is the Bay. What are you talking about?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're literally next to the ocean.
We're next to the beaches.
Yeah, Bay Area should be like specifically for
Whole state.
Californians.
Whole state.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's funny because you talked about freedom.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
same for me because I didn't have that freedom until I was like 18 or in high school. Like I didn't fucking go out with any of my friends. Like, oh my God, this is a fun story. When I was in middle school, right? Like ninth grade or something, 10th grade, I don't know. My parents would always say, my like literally gaslight me. Oh, you go out to movies with your friends, like it's dark, the theater is dark. You don't know what people would do there. You don't know if you get
I
kidnapped.
don't even want to like talk about it.
No,
I don't want to think about what would happen
no,
to
they
you.
actually fucking traumatized me. They're like, oh, if you have a guy friend that's in the group, the people are gonna be other friends. The friends of the friends are gonna be other friends that you don't know, and it's gonna be messy.
Yeah.
You don't know what happened. Like you're gonna get kidnapped, you're gonna get raped, especially for
Yeah.
girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have siblings or
Two half brothers.
to have?
One of
You
them.
don't have sisters.
No.
One child policy.
Yeah, it's true.
So far.
But yeah, for girls, I don't know if you resonate though.
No, yeah.
Like they always try to say, "Oh, you got to protect your self-image because you want to leave like a reputation
Mm-hmm.
for people to
Oh, I
like
can
when
go
you
along with
marry."
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so growing up, it was like that. I never had the freedom
Mm-mm.
until I started my guitar like guitar club. So I have band
Mm-hmm.
practices. that's the only time when I actually stay out late. I
Mm,
learned how to take the bus,
yeah.
and
Well, you guys actually have good buses.
yeah,
In Taiwan.
Taiwan, yeah,
Taiwan has great
no,
buses,
great
Mm.
buses.
great
Like,
public transit.
yeah, Asian countries, public transportation, like Japan. Oh,
Yeah. I feel like I can lick the ground. It's so fun.
so
Yeah.
good. But yeah, like, and we talk about tracking apps. This
Yeah.
is where it
Well,
comes
you remind me of
into.
my older sister because
Mhm,
my mom was especially like that too. Like
mhm.
she would follow me to school from work, from dance. Like she'd drive there just to follow me and my sister home
Oh my
when
gosh.
my sister could drive. Like she would follow us, and then we'd be like, "Oh, why? Like, are you following us, girl? You don't have work, you
Like,
know?"
she didn't tell you guys. She actually stalking
No,
you.
she would tell us,
Um,
but so like when we'd wake up, when my sister could drive, my sister would drive me to school, but my mom would be right behind us.
just to make sure you guys actually go to school.
Yeah, and then she'd drive back and then go to work. When if I was like working late, she'd go to like the workplace and then watch me drive home. And late, I mean like 8 p.m. And then after dance, she'd drive to dance just to drive us back home,
But not in the same car.
but not in the same car. And her logic was like, "Oh, if something happens." And I was like, "Girl, if you're scared I'm gonna crash, you should drive in front of us." You know what I mean?
To be the cushion for us to
Yeah,
crash.
right. But like you remind me of my sister because my mom is always like, "Oh my God, this is gonna happen to you, this is gonna happen to you, this is gonna happen to you." But I'm not super anxious, but my sister is.
That's me. I
Mm-hmm.
literally fucking struggle
Yeah.
with anxiety disorder.
Yeah. No, right. Like my sister got all the anxiety
See, I feel like
because she's older. She's older.
that's the model. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you grew up in this environment, super hyper anxious, like
Yeah.
all the bad stuff, it keep repeated telling you
Right.
like the world is crazy. My dad always tell me like,
No, right. Right.
yeah, like always dad always tell me like the shittiest thing about
Yeah.
society. Oh,
Or just anyone. No, they're always like your friends. You can have friends, you can have strangers, but like you'll always have your family. Like, you know
see
what I
where the
mean?
collectivists come in. Like they
Collectivist.
use it kind of
Yeah.
to guilt trip
Don't
us.
trust anyone. Don't trust
Yeah, like
anyone.
you are part of our community. You're part of this family, so you are just this.
Yeah. I
You
like
can't be
right.
anything outside.
No. And
But
I lost like all my friends in high school because like
oh
I wouldn't
no.
be allowed to hang out with them. And I like told my mom like before I was gonna go to college, I was like, just so you know, girl, like I don't have friends because of you, because you didn't let me do anything. And she was like, that was like the first time I really opened up to her about it. And she was
Hmm.
like, I don't know what you want me to say. You know,
She's like, I don't take
like
responsibility.
I don't know what you want me to say. I don't remember doing that.
Yeah, out of sight, out of
Yeah.
mind. But yeah, it definitely resonate, and it's like, see where it got us, right?
Right. See where it got us.
Like
Mhm.
we kind of talked about, like
Because
you
we're more
said,
sheltered.
we're so sheltered, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, your freshman year, you did a lot of like all this stuff that you finally can do, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you don't mind telling us, like, how was that for you? Your freedom, like
Hmm.
flapping the wings, like,
Right. But I gotta point out something though.
yes,
Can't blame it on our moms because they don't know as much as we do.
yeah,
Right.
true.
No, I'm like
They're just as
past the
blind as we
resentment.
are.
Right. I'm
Yeah,
Yeah,
past the
so you can't
resentment
blame it
point.
all on our parents. It's about the culture.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's about society as a general. It's like that Asian society,
It's the culture.
the
exactly.
immigration idea, because the idea of coming to United States is the American dream.
Hmm.
It's so glorified.
Yeah.
And in China or a lot of Asian countries, it's definitely true there. You come to America, you want to build a better life, not just for you, but also
For your
for your
kids.
generation
I did
afterwards.
ask my mom though if when she came to America it was for the kids, and she said I wasn't thinking about kids.
Hmm
It was too much,
So,
though.
Kids was just an
but I do
afterthought.
agree. I don't blame my mom for anything anymore. I did have like a resentment period when I came to college, and I like ghosted her
Hmm
for like 2 years almost, kind of. But I'm like over that now. You know,
That's
it's
good.
forgiveness, it's acceptance.
It
But
takes
I
time.
understand what Ty is saying, definitely. It's not parents
Yeah,
specifically,
it's like
right?
we're not trying to blame our parents for being so protective over us.
Yeah, because
And
it's
like
out of
you
love
said,
at the
yeah,
end
it
of
is
the
out of love and caring, but it's like, a different type of caring, right?
day.
Like you said, like they came here because that's all they know. It's like in survival mode. For some of them, for my grandma when she immigrated here, it was
Survival.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
it's a survival mode. Like they had to fend for themselves. Like if we could have a better environment, why not?
Yeah.
They didn't think about mental health. They
No.
don't have that concept of
No,
mental
don't
health.
even have don't have time to think about it.
Yeah, so it's like what we're doing now in our generation, I feel like it's really good, is like we're being aware of this. Like it's the product of the immigration system, of the mentality, right?
Hmm.
But we're trying to think about it in a different way, like, okay, this is what happened to us. Like we're living in our parents' shadow in a certain way. How are we not going to pass this down?
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to pass this down to our like intergenerational trauma,
No.
right? Like we like alcoholism or all
Mhm.
that, like anxiety, like we talked about.
Or depression.
Anger
Depression,
issues.
yeah,
It's a lot of
all
depression.
different types of,
Hmm.
yeah, different types of mental disorders. Like our parents don't have that concept. Like my dad doesn't even know he's struggling with substance use.
Right.
And my mom doesn't know she's controlling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but we kind of take up that responsibility for them to like, hey, you know, we have other ways, you
Yeah.
know, like you took us here, like you made it this far
Mm-hmm.
for the American dream, like you said,
Right.
for our future, if they really care.
Right.
But like, you know, hey, we're exposed to this Western culture right now. There's so much more to than what we know of. There's so much more to just being a family and collective is like sticking to our old values. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like, you know, you gotta stay updated, right? You don't want to be a little bit more progressive as the
Mm-hmm.
world continues. And I think that's just a very delicate balance too, is how in our generation, I feel like we are like the very critical point is because this is where this conversation is starting.
Yeah.
What can we do to kind of either not reverse it, but just like how can we do to kind of prevent it from worsening, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like we don't want the same modality to keep continue,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So I think this is what the podcast is for too, is like having these conversations strikes up this kind of idea for other people to think about it. And hopefully if other parents or other older generations are accepting, they kind of think about, oh, how can they take care of themselves better? How can they interact with their kids
Yeah.
better?
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So yeah, we have so many good things to talk about. It was really nice. But yeah, we're talking about freedom, right? So
Go back on track.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna try really quickly. I just want to like hit that, you know, prompt right here. We talk about freedom, like your mom's stalking you, and I have something to add too. Is like I literally was tracked my whole life, even now still. My mom
Mm-hmm.
still has
Me
my
too.
yeah. And I was talking to Abbie about it. Like there was this really crazy app called Zenly, and kind of the equivalent to the American version of Life 360. But they know how fast you drive. My mom texted me while I was driving, like, why are you driving so fast? 70 out of 60 on the road, on like whatever. And I remember growing up, she also has my messaging apps in her phone.
Oh.
She sees everything, every single
So
thing.
she'd like get your
She
texts.
got my text. She
Oh,
reads
that's
my
crazy. Oh.
text. I hated that. And I think I'm in therapy. So I talk about this in my therapy sessions recently, like how that has affected me because it feels like I was always being watched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Messaging apps, stock like
Oh,
tracking
yeah.
apps, like because of that mentality of like I have to keep, you know, getting my story straight. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, lying,
Yeah.
I have to make
Walking
sure I
on
don't.
eggshells.
Yeah, exactly. And walking on eggshells with my dad too because he has like temper problems,
Mm-hmm.
and walking with my eggshells with my mom because she's always like on to me.
Yeah.
And that meant like that growing up, like it just, you know, why wouldn't I have anxiety, bruh? Why wouldn't I be paranoid about everything? And why wouldn't I be so anxious all the time and being, you know, scared of people's perception?
Yeah.
Because I was always watched.
Right.
And I have to constantly watch over myself too to see how I'm behaving so I don't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that type of thing, you know, growing like literally my whole life, middle school, high school, up to this point, just recently has gotten better, like you said.
Yeah.
It's really that college point, like also like you
Yeah.
said too. It's just like it's so interesting how college became a free reign. Like parents don't really care. It's like I don't know. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like everything started to turn around, like change when we
Right.
get into college. But
Yeah.
that's how I grew up too. Like the individualistic side is me trying to express myself. Like I'm interested in stuff that I, you know, like or even sexualities and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, it's not that accepting. And I don't know, like I feel like the more suppressed our Asian parents are,
Mm-hmm.
the more like rebellious effect it's gonna come
Oh,
out.
yeah.
That's actually a psychology
Definitely.
term. I can't remember, but there's a
Yeah.
term. Like you're supposed just like drugs, right?
Right. I'm just like a great case of that.
Yes.
Amazing case.
Yeah.
Case study.
It's like drugs too, like prevention over prohibition.
Yeah.
If you keep limiting
Right.
people, they're not gonna grow.
Because you can't like change a person. You can't
Yeah.
like mold your kid into who they want to be.
Yeah, everyone is an
Yeah.
individual. Like we're all ourselves, even our
Right.
parents. Like we're different from our parents.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just if there's a healthy amount of like freedom,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
healthy amount of space for your kids like to grow up expressing their individualism.
Right.
You know, I feel like that would actually be a healthy thing instead
Yeah.
of always constantly suppressing them to adhere to all the values
Mm-hmm.
that the parents grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I wanted to kind of address too about the
Mm-hmm.
freedom stuff.
Wait, Lilian, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you spent a lot of time in Taiwan, no?
Yes.
How long exactly?
Literally my whole life. I
Your
grew
whole
up
life,
here. I
basically.
was born here
Uh-huh.
until like I don't know, less than a year. I don't know. I preschool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that translates to, but elementary first grade all the way up to community college.
Okay.
I was in Taiwan.
Does your parents still live with you, or
No.
They're in
are
Taiwan.
they in Taiwan
Yeah,
still?
I only come here by myself. I live with my relatives.
Uh-huh.
So on my mom's side, my mom's family actually immigrated here for 30 years already. But both of them are not American citizens,
Mhm.
so they've always been based in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But me and my brother, like we kind of visit.
You were born here, right?
Yeah,
So
I was
you're a
born here.
citizen.
Yeah, so I visit like often,
Mhm.
and I think that's also around the time where like that type of values, kind of blend in, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up with both, like kind of both worlds, because in the summers I would spend 2 months, almost 3 months here in the summer camp with all the local people,
Yeah.
and then all this like different types of like interactions. Like you see things, right? Kids,
Yeah.
you learn, you see, and then you like
Observe.
observe. So
Yeah.
That's how I learned English.
yeah,
By blending
exactly.
in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then what you're talking about suppressing individuals and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
East Asians specifically in general have this stereotype of being pushovers, submissive,
I don't know if you heard that often, but
I
yeah.
have not heard that.
You haven't heard that?
No, not me at least.
I mean, I feel like
Submissive, huh?
Like if you argue with them, will they fight back? The easiest,
Not in
some.
China. In China,
well,
they'll
no, yeah, not
definitely
in China,
they'll
but
fight you like
in
with fists and
no,
stuff.
that's China.
Uh-huh.
But in
Are you gonna
America
come to
though,
me?
in America, if you're gonna pick on someone, they're gonna be Asian. That's just like usually how it
It's
is.
true.
And I think it's a result of like how our parents like just don't talk back, don't push
Stay
back, stay
quiet.
quiet,
Don't cause a fuss.
keep your head down.
Keep your head exactly.
And then I know so many people who just like have no boundaries now, including me, because you can't stand up for yourself.
I see that
But
in my
yeah,
friends. I see that
That's
in my
interesting.
friends.
but keeping like going off of Lilian's tracking story, I've also been tracked my whole life. My mom didn't know about Life 360, but she does find my iPhone.
Thank God she doesn't.
Thank God she doesn't. And you just get sneaky. Like I put my location on my friend's iPad or something. But one time I used to work at In-N-Out,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents were going to visit me. Like, and I knew that, but they got here early, like way early. And I was working the whole time, and I'm working the drive-through in and out, like, with my little screen, and then I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn and it's my dad. And keep in mind, I'm from Delaware. So, like, I'm like, what are you doing in Westwood, California at my in and out tapping me on my shoulder while I'm working the drive-through? And he was like, oh, like, mom told me to find you here. And then my coworker comes out and he's like, oh, like, the manager said you could clock out early. Like, your mom came in. She was kind of making a scene. And then I go talk to the managers in the office. They're all sitting in the office and they're like, yeah, clock out Abbie. Like, we don't really want to deal with that. She came in, asking where you were, showing us your location on her phone, freaking out. Um, and like In-N-Out has changing rooms, so I went to change like out of the uniform. And I was like tearing up. I was so mad because I felt like I had this job, I had this life here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had to come
To ruin
and
it.
ruin it and infiltrate it, and now everyone thinks I have a crazy mom. I'd go back into work later and they'd be like, how's your mom, Abbie? And it was just terrible. But when I saw my mom after, I didn't even act like I was mad because I knew it wouldn't change anything.
Exactly.
But I think that's just like one story from the tracking apps. Oh, and she also called the cops on my sister.
For what?
When my sister was 20 in college, she was at lab and like the location glitched and said she was at a gas station across the street. Called the authorities, my mom. Yeah.
That's okay. Wow, that is like a next level crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like that's some damn.
And like I mean, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but I have like a bunch of piercings and shit. I don't know. And like tattoos, it's what happens when you like don't, when you don't. And then so now I go to college and I'm like, okay,
I could do
I
anything I
can do
want
anything. I pierced my nose actually though during COVID.
by yourself.
Yeah, by myself. But everyone's going crazy then. But my mom like cried about it. I had to like ease my way into letting her do it. But the tattoos also cried. I grew up in church, like an Asian church.
Oh my God, the Christian,
An Asian church.
the religious Asians.
Yeah, religious Asians. And like I have to go back every time, but always something to say. Always something to say.
I have friends who grew up like also very suppressed. Like literally, the mom comments on the girl's body,
Yeah.
like your boobs, because
Yeah,
they're
right.
too big.
No, right.
They sexualize their daughter.
And then I mean, I'm wearing this right. Before I came to college, only baggy shit. Only baggy clothes, never wore makeup. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
because there'd be a comment about everything. It's like, I can't change my body. Like, what do you want me to do?
I know. It's
You know?
especially even more worse on your mental toll is like you're still going through puberty. You're
Right.
figuring yourself out as a
Self-esteem
woman.
destroyed.
I know.
Right.
And
That's
then the
nothing.
parents like use the religion stuff to kind of like comment on you,
Mhm.
trap you, guilt
Right.
trip you, all that.
Yeah.
Like we and all amongst all that, like you said, Ty, like we have to keep reminding ourselves our parents are our parents. Like we
Mhm.
love them, they love
Right.
us, but it's just expressed differently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like imagine like growing up having to going through that all in your mind. Like
Mhm.
you're experiencing all this externally from your parents, but while thinking through like, oh, like you have to justify their actions for them.
Right.
Like
You're aware for them.
yeah, we're aware for them. Like it's okay. Like they just don't know this. They're not aware.
Yeah.
Like
Huh.
and then like you said, you can't say anything to your mom. Like what can you do?
No. She's not
Like
gonna change.
go crazy
Right.
at her too? No,
No.
like it just make things worse. So
Yeah.
and then I think that's the thing. Like it's just so perpetuating. And this is why like the Asian culture, like you said, it's not our parents' fault. It's the system.
Mhm.
But then how do we even try to change the
Right.
system when we're so little, right? The system's so big. Like and this kind of ties into the next prompt that we're kind of talking about is like even within the Asian cultures, there's different types.
We're very diverse.
Very diverse.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
if we want like if the system like there is a commonality among all different Asian cultures, this big system, right? Big collectivist culture.
Mhm.
But in Koreans and Japanese, like in Taiwanese, Chinese, or in
Mhm.
like Southeast
It's
Asians.
mostly East Asian that has like
Yeah.
very
Beef.
tough standard on
I
it.
know. East Asian too, like East Asian versus South Asians, like Indians,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or like Southeast
Yeah.
Asians.
Mhm.
It's still different.
It's very different.
So it's like, it's not our parents' fault. It's how we can educate people more to kind
Mhm.
of slowly expanding that different value
Right.
among all these bigger cultures. And it's like, it's it's tough, guys. This is why we all have depression. No, no, I'm just kidding. But like, I think going back to what both of you said too is it's really important to, I don't know, like I really appreciate you guys sharing the stories. I think it's really nice for, us to all like kind of think about it, talk about it, bond over it and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah.
It's very important for our viewers to hear our
Mhm.
stories.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully someone do see it. I feel like we had a really good Whoa, I'm so proud of us.
No.
Like, mind this, guys, whoever's watching, this is our first time ever recording a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is
We
gonna
did some
turn
This is
out.
like a
talking.
very DIY kind of shit.
No, yeah, we're
Hmm.
super chill. We're in the study room, but
And it's a Friday. It's a
it's
break
Veterans
day.
Day.
Veterans
Hmm.
Day.
Yeah, Ty has a concert later, so we're
Yeah.
trying to
You
keep
have a
it.
concert next week
I'm gonna concert
too.
next week. See,
Yeah.
now we
Hmm.
go to concerts, right?
Yeah.
My mom used to give me shit too about going to concerts. Like, oh, it's dark, it's late, like it's
I know I
dangerous.
didn't go.
To be honest,
But
I just don't tell my mom about that kind of stuff.
see,
And I've got to explain it to
I
them.
think that's the thing too. Like between, like I don't
There's
know if you
difference
guys.
between daughters
I
and
know, like
sons
when we
too.
look back at it, so like we're just talking all about this, like oh my god, we're so like worked up because of all these experiences we had.
Yeah.
But like Ty is just chilling, like I know.
Yeah.
I don't experience that. Like, I'm
I feel
pretty
like
chill.
it's like anger. A lot of anger.
Oh my
A
gosh,
lot of
me with anger
suppressed
issues too.
anger.
Same.
Well, one more thing about the Asian, like the different types of Asians. Asian people, there's just, I feel like there's a lack of alliance. I've noticed
I
lack of
agree.
alliance, lack of pride. I've noticed Hispanic people, they be flaunting their flags.
They're so
They're
united.
they're so united, except maybe like a few countries have their beef. But East
Yeah.
Asians specifically and South Asians and Southeast, we can't like see eye to eye on anything.
I got something to say about that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, in China, they got this thing called a Gaokao.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we have
It's
that too.
yeah, or like a lot of it's just Asian
Yeah.
countries in general.
Asian education system.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And they're very specialized about individualistic. It's
Mhm.
about how well you do. It's not about well how your peers are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So they only select like 10% of people go to college, and
Mhm.
the rest are sort of just
Bye bye.
bye
Yeah.
unemployment. That's why
That's
China's
crazy.
unemployment is so high these
Mhm.
days.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree because that's see, it's so interesting. There is individualism within our collectivist culture,
Yes.
but it's like it's a weird balance. It's like
Yeah.
they hyper focus on your individual achievements and productivity,
Mm-hmm.
and they neglect how you are as a person,
Right.
which is what important. Like individualism comes out from your personal expression.
Yeah.
It's not just coming out from your productivity and how you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing they focus on.
Yeah.
I experienced that. Like that's how I did. I went to a private middle school. I had to take a test to get in.
I went to private school too.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
elementary school.
yeah, and you know what they did, bruh? They fucking rank you. So there's
Oh,
like
everybody can see, right?
no 1
It's
to
worse.
7 class. So like 701, 702, all the way to 707,
Mm-hmm.
seven like seventh grade. if you're in the first class 701, which I was, but I was like in the bottom rank of the class, they're like the smartest people basically.
Right.
They scored the highest. But back in 707,
Right.
like they're the lowest rank.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what the fuck? Segregation within an
No,
education
literally
system?
segregation
It's like,
within the education.
and imagine growing up like that too. I know I suffered too because I worked so hard to try to pull up my grade, but I couldn't.
Mm.
They fucking ask you to stand up. Like, oh, the people who got more than 90% stand up, I want to calculate how many people.
Yeah.
More than 80% stand up, and then how many people. And then you see how lame you are.
Yeah.
Everybody's like above like 70 up.
Right.
I fucking failed the test. And it was Chinese test. The language test, linguistics.
I was a terrible linguist.
Yeah, like language test. And I fucking like stand up. It was only me or like one other person. Like I have to constantly go through that.
Shame.
Yeah, exactly. And it internalizes.
Yeah.
I internalized me. And I fucking struggle with ADHD and I didn't know. Imagine how that helped, like how that shaped my fucking toxic perfectionism.
Exactly. And so you think something's just wrong with you. Like,
yeah, it's always me like, I'm not trying enough.
Yeah.
I'm not doing well enough. I'm not trying hard enough. I don't know if that happened to you when you went through like Gaokao, if you did.
I never went to Gaokao, but when I was at elementary school, I remember the one time where after a test they would post all our test scores
Yeah.
on the board.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My
And
mom
then
would
instead of letting like the teachers judge you,
everyone
they
else.
let your
Yes.
peers
And the parents.
judge you.
My mom would tell me that the parents would like look at
Well,
the
the parents
rankings
obviously
too.
know. Parents, when they pick up, they see the scores.
Yeah, and they're like,
And
where's my kid
they
at?
gossip too. We
Yeah.
love.
Oh my god, Asians!
Gossip.
Asians and their gossip. I love
Especially
it.
when we drink beer and then we
I
gossip.
love it, but I hate it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh my god, I laugh. On the audio.
It's like they're so depressed. They got nothing to do. They just talk shit about each other.
No, right.
Mm-hmm.
And like
And that's our entertainment too.
It's entertainment, but everyone loves gossip. But it's like another level for Asian people.
No, yeah, it's so toxic.
And Asian, like I love being Asian. I'm so proud of being Asian.
All are, I think.
Yeah, I think we all are. But it took me a long way to get here because where I grew up, no Asians.
Yeah, I think
no Asians. And then always verbal stuff was said to me. You just get looks. You expected to be. So already from the start, I felt out of place. And then also within the Asian community, I also felt out of place because I didn't feel like I was Asian enough or I'm not into these things that everyone else is into. I look different. I dress differently. I talk differently. And so I feel like the individualism versus collectivism, it like pushed me, like the collectivism of the Asian community pushed me to be an individual because I was like, well, I'm not accepted here. Let me just.
I had goosebumps earlier. That's such a good term. Like, that's so beautiful.
Let me just do my own thing. And then so I did have a resentment towards Asians for a while, like my own people, my own blood, my family, because have you heard that saying? It's like, oh, like a child who doesn't feel warmth from their village burns it down to feel like warmth.
Oh, I had another goosebump.
But
it's like a quote,
right? A little quote in there.
The
quote in there. But yeah,
it's gonna be right here.
But now I love being Asian. We're just this is what we're doing now. We're just trying to.
We're in a mental health club that's literally for Asians. Little cultivate Asian.
We're not a cult.
Yes, it's not cult of
Asian. Yeah, it's cultivate Asian. So right?
I think it's like cultivation. Cultivation.
You know,
it's a nice name.
Something.
Our officers about this.
Let's clarify that.
Is it cult of Asian? Or cultivate Asian?
Cultivate
Asian. Wrong, it's like cultivations.
That's our group chat name. Cultivation.
Cult of Asian.
Yes. But yeah, damn, I can't imagine how that felt growing up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good segue into like psychological damage. Yeah, but because of that, because of like,
let me have a drink.
I was saying like this would be so good with like wine or like beer, just like, but.
You gotta tune in next week.
Right, next week.
What's in here?
Yeah. Maybe it's vodka. I smell it. Yeah, I smell it. But the combination of the environment not accepting you, and then your own community not accepting you, and then your parents actually physically being unable to say a good thing about you growing up.
Yeah.
Physically unable to say a good thing.
Real quick, like, have you guys grew up, like, actually verbally saying I love you or hugs or, like, verbal expressions of, like, support? I don't know.
My dad never said I love you, never hugged him. We shook hands when I left for college. That was intimate for us. I'm so sorry to laugh. I don't know why that's so funny. It's comfortable, though. Then, like, whenever we visit, he just like passed me on the back. But if he were to say I love you one day, I'd be like, not too much though.
Have you? I mean, maybe for you it's different because
Yeah.
it's like a man-to-man talk. Like I don't know.
Not with my dad, with my mom.
Like
I'm closer
verbally,
with my
no.
no. With my dad, it's different.
Yeah.
Like, my dad really didn't give a fuck where I go.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
about your mom? Did you grow up like having actually feeling like oh love and support, and she verbally expresses or physically
She
expresses?
physically expressed it by
Oh.
She
hitting
hugs
me.
you? Oh,
Oh, by hitting you?
you got us there. I
Yeah.
was like,
I mean, that
oh,
is
No,
typical.
it's really good support nowadays. It's
Yeah.
better because she
with
just
the
hugs.
shoes.
No,
The
she just hugs
shoes,
me
the
now.
belt.
She hugs you.
Nowadays, yeah,
My mom
because I
hugs
feel
me
like
now.
America has really changed her.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You
Hmm
know, it's funny. While we're here undergoing like all these change and internal struggles, our parents are also doing that too, right?
Yes.
So you
Because
guys
they're
kind of see it
right.
now.
No, yes.
You
And
guys
hmm
see it now.
that's why I forgave. Because imagine how lonely. I mean, for my parents, my mom's the only one from our whole family in America, like our whole entire family in America.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
My mom too.
And
I
my
mean, she's here alone.
yeah, no,
I
that's what I'm
wonder every
saying.
day,
So she's
like, how's she holding
alone.
up? Shit.
Like she's
Yeah.
alone.
It's tough for her too.
So
And she like
yeah.
drowns herself in work. I mean, she has her coping mechanisms, but like as you get
Yeah.
older, because like when you're growing up, I'm like, oh, that's mom, and she's like this entity, and she's scary, and she
The
makes me
tiger mom.
cry, and she,
I feel like maybe we're just looking for answers.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now I look at her and I'm like, oh, she's just like she's a lady.
Honestly, I think our parents should hear this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff they won't agree, but honestly, if you look at it like in general, we're also appreciative of our family. We're also like,
Yeah.
we feel for our parents,
Right. Of course.
right?
Of
Like I know they
course.
have their own struggles. That's why they cope in a certain
Yeah.
way, right? Cope with
Yeah.
alcohol, cope with like workaholic,
Right. I'm starting to talk to my parents more about this. We did drink together
Oh, that's
over the
good.
summer.
You
They
did that
didn't
too.
know I
Oh
drank
no.
You didn't drink with
until
your parents.
No.
no. They didn't know I drank until last year because I got a concussion and I fell off
Oh.
my bed because I was so drunk. I was blacked out drunk.
Oh my
Fell off my
god.
bunk bed, got a concussion, and that's how they found out I drank. Um, they don't know the extent to which I don't drink that much anymore, but it was an issue before. But so over the summer, we'd like drink together, and they would get tequila because they know I like tequila. So like they're cute.
That's
So we drink, we'd air stuff out, not to this extent, but my mom would just forget about it the next day.
That's nice.
But it's nice. Like, it's nice to just talk about it.
But through alcohol. Like they
Through
can't just
only through
yeah, they
alcohol.
can't just open up.
No
It's not
exceptions.
easy.
No exceptions. And like I'm like that too.
And I think that's like a healthy amount of drinking, like, some sip, like, like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah,
like drinking, like, it's fine.
yeah.
A moderate amount.
Right.
Like, you never want to cope with it, rely on it to a
No.
point where you're like you said, like, when it was an issue for you, like a
Right.
blackout
And
drunk.
it's still like
yeah.
I can't really drink moderately. So
That's,
Also, God made us have
peace.
like
yes, keep going, sorry.
God made us have really low limits, most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's like
Asians.
But I
maybe
got a
The
that's
high
genes.
limit. That's why I wish I had a
uh,
low limit. I wish I had a low limit, guys.
You're gonna learn about it in clinical psych class where we talk about substance abuse.
Okay. I know I want to take those classes.
It's like tolerance. You're
Yeah.
building up tolerance because of your glutamate and GABA and stuff.
The glutamate
Yeah.
GABA
So and yeah,
always goes
it's
back to that.
technical stuff,
uh-huh.
but fun
Yeah.
stuff.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Oh wait, we were talking about the psychological,
Oh yeah.
the result of
Okay,
that.
run it back.
Run it back. Okay, so very quick, because I kind of went off. Not being accepted in my environment, family, culture, community, my sense of self is so muddled still. I started going to therapy.
Same.
Right.
Yeah.
This year I started going to therapy. So I've had literally 3 sessions. And I'm not gonna say like what she told me I kind of what's the word for it? Qualified for,
Mm-hmm.
like as a diagnosis. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I always had a suspicion that it was there. But this like specific disorder results from neglect from parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's a common like denominator with people who have this disorder. Um, and like symptoms are like instability, unstable sense of image,
I
low
think I know what you're talking
self-esteem,
about. Yeah.
impulsivity. And I'm like very calmed down, but like we were all sheltered growing up. I did go crazy. Like when I first came to college. Like I'm a junior now, freshman year, part of sophomore year, I did go crazy. And
That's you right now. You still have like one more year left to
I'm
be
chill.
oh
crazy.
man,
No, we're
Ty's
chill.
chilling. Ty is chilling.
I was
But
chilling.
and then so there's also getting kind of diagnosed with something, dealing with the stigma of the diagnosis,
Stigma, yeah.
dealing with the weakness of feeling like the weakness of going to therapy.
Yes.
Mm.
Um, which is, and then I think that's a good example because it's a direct result of like culture
You
and
definitely remember the
upbringing.
stats where it's like not a lot of Asians actually go to therapy willingly.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
At
less than
least.
5. Yeah, it's with the least
Yeah.
out of all the
To
race
go to
group.
Or the
therapy.
game that we played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a depressing
Yeah,
conclusion.
just
Uh-huh.
lowest number.
And
Yeah.
it
Always.
always works.
It always works.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think
Because we're scared, I think.
it's
Scared of therapy. No one ever told us about therapy.
No, like you're
When
just
you're
seen as
growing up,
weak. I mean, I was literally told like you're weak if you go to therapy and like not allowed to cry
I feel like there's
in
no
front of your
therapy in
parents.
China.
No,
no
That doesn't fucking
term.
exist.
no. There's
Yeah.
maybe psychiatrists because they probably just
But
give
that's when you
meds.
like have a psychotic breakdown.
Yeah.
That's really, really
That's when you
clinical.
reach
That's when you go
your
to psych
breaking
ward and
point.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, that's the sole reason why I'm into psych. Because I observe, like I love people watching. I observe all
Mhm.
this stuff and the
Mhm.
patterns of my families. That's
Mhm.
how I got interested in psych. But then it wasn't until like my high school, back in Taiwan, where one of my classmates actually took his own life.
Mm.
And the way that my school dealt with it, like
Mm.
they just said it was an accident.
And the suicide rate is so high.
And I was crying, like I was bawling my eyes out because even though I wasn't close to him, he was still a person that I
Mhm.
interact with. I
Right.
remember how bright he smiled. I remember he had a really good voice when he
Mhm.
sang. And it's that was the trigger point. Like that was a turning point of me like, I want to do something about this. Like
Yes.
this is something in our system. Like I want to change this narrative,
Right.
right? And I think going back to what you guys are saying is like therapy is not a concept because a lot of the therapy ideas, they're developed by Europeans. Like it's a Western
It's a
thing.
Western thing.
And what I'm learning right now in my psych classes and about a lot of my lab and like research stuff is like we're trying to turn that narrative into more culturally sensitive stuff. Like even for Hispanics, like
Mhm.
Latinx people,
Yeah.
they want, there's like therapists that actually speak Spanish that actually understand their culture, and they start targeting like the conversations towards their culture instead of like just here to diagnose you.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And I think it's the same for Asian too. It's like how do we help like provide sources and
Mhm.
access to fellow Asian Americans, even
Right.
young adults or older adults that, this is an option for you. Like therapy is not about like it's not just a Western thing.
Mhm.
I think that's also like a line where it's drawing that limit is like they think it's so Western, like you're so whitewashed going to therapy, like you just talk about your problems.
Mhm.
But honestly, like it's so much more to that.
Right.
And if you don't want to go to therapy, there's always other ways
True.
too, like
Yes.
meditation. If you want to go through more Eastern ways, like like Taoism values,
Yeah.
Buddhism values,
Buddhism.
Buddhism meditation, it's
Yeah.
still a way. Like therapy doesn't have to be a Western thing.
Yeah, and it's not a solution.
And it's not a solution, it's a
Right.
work.
Mhm.
Like it takes work
Mhm.
and it's a work in progress. And I think it's just, putting it out there to the audiences too is like, what is your therapy? Like, has your stories growing, like those stories growing up, how has that shaped your psychological development? I know for us, we talked about it a little bit. For me, definitely, I struggle with anxiety now and I'm working on it. And for Ty, I don't know if you have like, any internal struggles, but it's like we definitely all have some.
I feel like some people just don't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
They
it's
keep it
fine.
in a lot.
And
Yeah.
I think it's fine if you don't want to talk about it, but I just feel like maybe talking is not the way. Talking therapy, psychotherapy is not your thing. Maybe through other methods is
There's
when
other methods,
yeah, there's
and you can explore
definitely
that.
yeah, and there's definitely other methods for you to work on yourself, be introspective, and every day is a constant battle for us to try to be better. And
Yes.
if we try to be better ourselves, we're projecting less negativity out in the world. And maybe, hopefully one day we change the world. The end, yay! It's like world war
That was it.
done.
World
That's
peace
like,
done.
yeah, world peace
Maybe
done.
we'll
Just
have
go
a
to
female president.
yeah,
Yeah.
just go to therapy. World peace.
Yeah, that's it. Easy.
But that's definitely a far stretch. But honestly, it's kind of like that too. It's like, all the shit that's been going on in our world.
Right.
Like, honestly, it's because I feel like, in my opinion, it's like we're not introspective enough. Like,
No, it's literally a result of like a
yeah,
lack of introspection.
like we keep projecting our insecurities, we keep
Mhm.
projecting our desires on the world. Like,
Yeah.
the system is already rigged, right? We know capitalism is shit. We know like all this stuff that's going on, like the social media the media that's been
AI.
manipulating, yeah, and all that. So it's like, how do we keep ourselves sane,
Right.
during all this thing that's been going on?
Because we
And
forget we're like biological beings.
no, we are.
You know.
You have to take care of your physical vessel
Yeah.
and your
But
soul too.
Mhm.
it's not talked about how like social media, it's very
Yeah.
addicting, no?
It is very
And
addicting.
it's designed that way.
It's
Do you believe
designed
it?
to, yeah.
TikTok.
They made it that way.
The
They
Chinese
coded it that
government
way.
created TikTok, guys.
Oh my god, we're gonna get banned. Our podcast is gonna get banned.
Look too much into politics.
Yeah, we're gonna get flagged if we post
Yeah.
this.
Red flag.
No, we're gonna have like
Do you
the
also have
fact
social
checker,
credits?
fact checker on like the post.
No, yeah, for real. But
So,
yeah, sorry, we're just gonna wrap it up really quickly. But yeah, kind of just like an open-end question to our audience, but also just like, you know, individualism and collectivism is not just two separate things like we talked about. Like you kind of mentioned in the education system, there is still individualism within Asian culture.
mhm.
It's just how is that expressed? How can we change that narrative a little bit to a healthier approach? Like encourage people to speak up, when you don't want something, say no. Encourage people to embrace their vulnerability. I feel like it's a big thing for Asians. Like cry if you want to cry. Boys can cry, girls can cry in front of
Right.
people. Like it's okay if you feel lost. Like you don't have to always have a solution, because that's how I grew up. My dad always feel like you should have done this. You could have done this. You should have known this. And I don't know if that's a common thing, but for me, that's how I grew up, and that definitely shaped me. Like I can't make mistakes.
Yeah, I can't be vulnerable.
Yeah, I can't. Like, oh, I should have done this. Like, why did I make a mistake? I shouldn't. And it's
And
like
then beat
constant.
yourself.
Yeah, it's a constant beating yourself up, seeing like, like I'm like you said, like your parents physically literally tell you suck, but you're so good at school.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you
Right.
want from us, right?
What am I?
I
What am
know.
doing?
For me, and luckily, my parents never really did anything about my academics, but it's more just like the social aspect. So it's like, like, how can we, now we're aware. Like, having this conversation right now is like the first step, right? We're being aware of it, and we're spreading that awareness. We're educating ourselves while educating others. And then hopefully, if we have enough people that actually appreciate this work and are willing to put in the effort to do this work, then we could get, that momentum going. Like, like whether you're a psych major or not, whether you actually go to therapy or not, it's still something that's worth celebrating for, I feel like.
I would like to hear more from you guys too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, leave us a story.
I love that. The PR thing over there.
Mhm.
Oh my god, we should actually make this into a long-term podcast.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun.
That would be fun.
But yeah, that's our first episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming, for spending the time with me. I feel like this is such a good, I don't know, I love it. I love talking.
Yeah.
I just
Never
love
done anything like
talking.
this before.
But yeah, I hope this is therapeutic for you guys too. Like it is our own version of therapy, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's kind of like, let's stop this intergenerational trauma as we go. So
Stop.
yeah. Anyways, we definitely have more to talk about. I feel like next time we'll come up with some new topics, still revolving around individualism versus collectivism. But
We'll have more stories for you guys.
yeah, we'll have a new guest next
Mhm.
episode. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.